Welcome to day 3 of Colt's Corner. My name is Mrs. Van Hook, and the last couple of days we've been working on place value and then addition and subtraction. And today we're going to use some of those skills to also help us with multiplication because they are related. Addition and multiplication are related in that you can use addition to help you with multiplication. It's not the most efficient way to do multiplication, but it does have some good foundations in helping you to achieve your goals as far as learning your multiplication facts. A few things to just warm your brain up for today's activity. It is a little more challenging, and it does challenge you to think a little bit differently. And of course, that's my goal this summer, is to help you develop that flexibility in thinking and being able to be confident in finding different ways to solve math problems. A couple of things that you could be doing just to help you with facts. I think I've posted a link that has some multiplication fact practice on it, so you can use that link to help you. If you have a set of math flashcards at home, then you can use those to help you practice those math facts and just working through being fluent in recalling basic facts, because today's activity will challenge you to use basic facts to solve problems with greater numbers. I also thought I'd spend some time thinking about the different ways we show multiplication, and I have this graphic here that talks about, these are all ways you've learned along the way. So remember that when you come to 4th grade or when you go to 5th grade, you take with you a math history. So these are all a part of your math history that you bring with you, and they're very useful. Skip counting. Whenever we skip count, 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6, 9, 12, 5, 10, 15. Every time you skip count, that is multiplication. You're using multiples of a number. Usually it's multiples of the first factor or the first fact. So every time you skip counting, you are using multiplication. Equal groups. Sometimes we have to draw pictures, and that's okay. But when you're using larger numbers, it gets more challenging to use graphics or to draw pictures. But in this picture, we are illustrating the fact 4 multiplied by 3. So I have 4 circles, and in each circle I've drawn 3 stars. And then I can use skip counting to add those up. 3, 6, 9, 12. So 4 groups of 3 is equal to 12. Repeated addition. So again, when I talked about that relationship between addition and multiplication, here is where that comes in. I have 4 3s. And when I add those up, 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is equal to 12. And the last way we can show multiplication is through an array. And this is again where we're drawing pictures, and we draw equal groups, but we just place them in an array where I have 4 rows, and in each row there are 3 stars. So 4 groups of 3 is equal to 12. All ways that we represent multiplication. So those are some simple ways just to warm up your brain, to get it ready for the larger numbers. I want to talk about the equal sign for just a second. A lot of times, we always say, 4 times 3 equals 12, or 2 plus 2 equals 4. And a lot of times we forget that we can use this equal sign in a different place in an equation and still achieve that goal of finding equivalence. And so I often talk about or ask kids to remember what equals means. Equals means that your equation is balanced. And when I talk about an equation, I'm talking about, a group of numbers put together with some kind of symbol, whether it be addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. And you use that symbol to help you find either a sum or a factor, or a quotient, or the difference in a problem. And they need to be equal. So, when I say that 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, That means that when I join together 1 plus 2, then all together I'm going to have a 3. So that equation would be balanced. So if I look at this equation, I can say that 4 times 8, if I have that part on this side of the equation, I'll go ahead and write that in. So I have 4 groups of 8. That is equal to 32. Okay. I can also say that 32 is equal to 4 times 8. Those equations have the same meaning. Okay. So remember that equal means that we're trying to find a balance. We're trying to make this side equal to the same on this side. It should have the same value. All right, so I'm going to erase that top part because next I want to talk about some properties of multiplication that you have learned along the way, and you've learned them using the basic facts, and those same properties are going to help you with the game that you're going to learn today. So for example, the distributive property gives you the flexibility of thinking about numbers and equations a little bit differently. You can break them down into simpler equations to help you. So for example, if I didn't know the product of 4 multiplied by 8, I could break that 4 down into 2 and 2 and multiply 2 times 8 and 2 times 8, then add the product of each of those together. So what I've done is I've used the distributive property to make equations just to give me some flexibility in thinking, because I know that 2 times 8 is 16 and 2 times 8 is 16, and if I add 16 plus 16, then that equals 32. So that gives me another strategy that I can use to make solving multiplication equations easier. I can also use the commutative property. With the commutative property simply means that the product of 8 times 9 is going to be the exact same as 9 times 8. 9 times 8 and 8 times 9 have the exact same product. Just the factors are in a different order. And so as long as you use the same factors, you're going to get the same product. Right? And then the associative property allows us to group equations together, group facts together that help us to solve the problem. So for example, if I had the equation, let me get my marker, it fell to the floor, okay. If I had an equation like this, 45 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 2, at first that looks like a really tough problem to tackle. But if I group some factors differently, I could make an easier problem. So let's say I know that 5 times 2 is 10. Now, when I multiply by 45, 45 multiplied by 10, I can think about this as, because I have a 0 in this ones place, I can multiply 45 times 1, which is 45, and then just think 10 times greater. 10 times greater is 450. So I have 45, because the product of 45 times 1 is 45, and then 10 times greater is 450. So the associative property allows me to group factors together to solve easier problems. All right, so we're going to use all of those strategies today to play our equal values game. I will post that game in a separate link, and it should be coming up right behind this link. So use some of these strategies, practice some of them just to warm up to get ready for the equal values game.